You wrote an op-ed for Business in Vancouver, and in that you called BC's approach bad news for skilled tradespeople and the construction industry. Tell us more. Why did you say that?
Well, data center construction creates significant jobs for skilled tradespeople and construction professionals. We'd like to see a policy that balances those benefits with other priorities, while also not putting undue constraints on BC's ability to attract either those investments or to build other types of projects as well.
Okay. Well, you did say the government's approach conceptually has merit. That was your quote. How would you have liked the province? What would you have preferred they do?
Yeah, so British Columbia has put a limit of 400 megawatts of capacity that's available to data centers, data and AI centers for construction. In contrast, Alberta has put in place a limit over the same time period of 1,200 megawatts. So I think that there's probably room for a more balanced approach that enables a little bit more attractment of investment, especially at a time right now for BC's construction industry appears to be facing significant headwinds.
From what we see, BC already has between 30 to 35 AI and data centers. Is that right? 30 to 35 here in this province?
That's possible.
Okay. Alberta apparently has just over 20. I guess, is there a case to be made that BC has reached a certain limit? Well, Alberta may have a ways to go yet.
That could possibly be the case. I think what we're looking at right now is the opportunities that exist right now, and the scale of data centers that we are seeing being built in other jurisdictions is different than historically what we've seen. So certainly the growth potential that exists that we've seen in other jurisdictions. So for example, we're part of we're an international chapter of some of our counterparts in the US, and in some states, our counterparts have seen the number of electricians which are employed by their contractors double over the last couple of years, largely because of the opportunities provided by the construction of new data centers.
Okay, give me your vision of the growth potential here.
So I think what we need to look at is whether or not this 400 megawatt threshold is the right limit for BC. That's probably a couple of decent sized projects, which is good, and that's a step in the right direction. However, when you compare what Alberta is willing to do, in addition to the fact that in Alberta they are allowing self-generation or inside the fence generation, which is not typically an option that BC will provide, there is simply more opportunities potentially available. And I'm very mindful that right now in British Columbia, we do see those headwinds for the construction sector. And we also saw last week the state of British Columbia's fiscal situation. I'm not certain that right now is a moment for us to be putting a limit on economic potential and job creation in British Columbia.
Well, there are critics, though, of the projects. They worry that these projects could be unsustainable. I mean, they don't only use electricity, they also use a whole lot of water. What's your response then to their concerns that lifting the caps could be a short-sighted move?
Yeah, and I want to be clear. I certainly am not suggesting that British Columbia should provide unfettered access to the grid for data and AI centers. I think that, as I said, conceptually, there is merit here. The real question is making sure that we're setting this cap in a right place that enables British Columbia to both attract investment from these types of projects and other types of projects. I think there's probably a strategic approach to ensure that new industrial projects are coming online at the same pace as new generation so that we can balance off all of those priorities.
Well, here we are close to the end of February. The competitive bid process, it's underway right now. Applications close March 18th. Matt, what changes would you like the government to make before that deadline?
I think the reality is that the government probably isn't going to make those changes on that timeline, but it'll be interesting to see what the level of interest that is expressed is, and if there's an opportunity to reconsider the specific threshold that has been set to allow for these projects to be built. I appreciate that data and AI centers don't necessarily create an enormous amount of long-term jobs, but the construction potential is truly significant. And I think it's really important that we recognize that construction jobs for skilled tradespeople are real jobs too.
Listen, it's really good to hear from you. Interesting perspective, and we'll see what happens between now and the closing date for applications. We appreciate your time.
Thank you for your time.
That's Matt MacInnis, the president of the Electrical Contractors Association of BC.